All right. There we go. All right. Welcome on back, guys. Welcome back to yet another TapDaddyBeats stream. I hope you guys are having a good Thursday. Today we're just going to be mixing a track down. I've got one picked out. I think this is going to be a really good one, too. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's actually, I don't know how many of you guys were hanging out for the last Saturday morning cook-up. It was the first one that we made last Saturday. It's been one of my favorites, and I just decided that's the one I want to mix down today. But yeah, if you're curious what we're listening to right now, this is Nightless Days. This is the opening track off of my new EP, Sunrise Serenade. If you guys like what you hear on this stream and you're like, damn, where do I find all this good music? I'm TapDaddy on Spotify and on really all platforms. And go check out Sunrise Serenade. I think you guys would really dig it. If you like my music, I would love for you guys to hear it. So I'll go ahead and drop a little album link for you guys, for whoever's watching this. I don't know. All right, and let's just dive into it. Let's just get in with our first mix. I think I'm only gonna do this one mix today. I was having a nasty bout of tendinitis last night, and I've got more work to do tonight, so I'm kind of taking it easy a little bit. I decided I would just pick my favorite track that I want to mix down. And this is it. It doesn't have a song title yet. It's song 956 as it currently stands. If you have any name suggestions, leave a comment or something, because I'm always open to name suggestions. But let's give it a listen through. This is our first listen through. We're really just trying to observe here, but we might make little tweaks here and there. But yeah, let's hear what we're mixing today. We got a audio file that doesn't want to load. Let me reload this real quick. There we go. Got to get that saxophone in there. But yeah, first impressions though, I really I feel like this is already in a pretty good spot, you know. I have a tendency to sometimes like kind of mix as I produce a little bit. Kind of sounds like I was doing some of that while I was producing this track. Like for example, I see I've already got a little bit of OTT on this on the sample chops. Just to show you guys the difference. There's without, with. Yeah, that's good. All right. Let's bring it back over here. Yeah, I was gonna say some of the strings were missing. Let's actually just listen to this back because I need to get a good read on the max peak value. We need to see if it's below 0, if it's above 0, by how much, So let's listen through it. I'm already kind of thinking of like a little bit of sidechain interaction, but I don't want like huge pumping motions. I want like little divots and just the sample material maybe. Love this trumpet lick, man. That's just so golden. See, we've already got a pretty good spread there. I like the positioning of like the glockenspiel and like how it counters with the stream. We might offset that sax a little bit, Hey, what's up, Aiden Dodge? How you doing, man? Says, have you tried out Serum 2? Nah, I haven't. I don't own Serum. How is it, man? How is it? Let's go back and hear this. Oh, and let's check our max peak. That's what I was doing. Positive 1.94. Okay, well. We'll probably just shift everything down a little bit. Like such a golden track. I love this trumpet and that little sax section is beautiful. This is my mood today, I feel like. But yeah, Ian says I'm installing it right now. Oh hell yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think of it. Says apparently the Xfer website crashed. Really? That's interesting. Curious if that was like, I don't know, something malicious or if that was just a little glitch. Could be anything. I don't know, man. I feel like, so, I don't know, little story time. I used to, I got my degree in computer science, and one of my favorite courses was system security. It was just, about like cyber crime kind of stuff. After taking that course, dude, I feel like the internet is such a dangerous place, honestly. It's wild. I had a professor that worked on, protecting the DNS servers, which are basically the servers that make the internet run, from, like foreign warfare and whatnot. I realize now how much like there is like cyber warfare going on. I can't help but just like wonder, when I hear about websites crashing, if there was like anything nefarious behind that or if it's just like a simple mistake, because you would be surprised. There's a lot of very nefarious things going on, that you guys will probably never hear about, But yeah, Aiden says, do you have the Universal Audio's Hemisphere plugin? Nah, I don't. What does it do? I'm not sure I have really looked into it. All right, well, I'm thinking we're probably going to want to bring everything down by like maybe 5 decibels, 6 decibels. We're going to give ourselves some room. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that should be good. And also, now that we're listening at a lower level, like, you can really tell differences in the volume of things. I realize now that I'm like listening a little bit more quietly, that the drums are set pretty forward, you know. Now I've got a few ideas about maybe what we might like to do, because I really like the punch of that drum, and I don't want to screw that up, you know. But at the same time, it is like very forward. I think really what I want to do is like very, very slight side chains with that kick punching into the sample material. But like I said earlier, I'm not sure if I really want like big pumping motions, you know, in terms of like how it's sidechained. I kind of want to just like set up little divots, you know, so that it kind of ducks out of the way. But let's like really focus in on these drums. Okay, so it's like very far up there. Let's bring it back a bit. It's just minus 2 decibels. It's not bad. Okay. But yeah, Aiden says it emulates microphones. I use it on so much of my sounds and it makes it sound so hyper-realistic. That's interesting. I'm not sure, like, because I feel like that probably depends so much on, like, what you're using as a microphone. I'd be very skeptical of what it might be doing to emulate. Because, you know, the thing is like, so in my mind, I see, like, emulations like that, right? And sometimes you can, like, flip through some presets and it's like, ooh, this sounds crisp. This sounds interesting, you know? But I feel like... you know, how they get these things to work is a combination of like bread and butter, you know, like a lot of different, you know, it might be like types of compressions and EQs kind of like, you know, being put on your microphone. For me, I'm like really looking for like the cleanest representation of the audio, and then I'm kind of going in and doing very, very specific things, you know, to really get it locked in, sounding very glossy and energized, and probably all of the things that are going on in that, you know, Hemisphere plugin. But that's the thing, though, is like when I build it, then I have so much more control. When I throw a magic box on there and I flip through presets and whatnot, I feel like I kind of lose that control. But at the same time, like, dude, if it sounds good, it sounds good. So, like, you know, I would say if it's getting you a good sound, continue to use it. Absolutely, you know. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like RC20 is kind of like one of those where I can flip through 1,000 presets and just be like, this sounds really good. But I might not really understand like why it sounds good until I like really play around with it, you know. But I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, you know, you can look at like all of your stock plugins as like building blocks, right? And some of these fancier tools are really just a combination of like these very simple building blocks, right? But, you know, sometimes that's kind of like what, you know, what gets you the really good sounds, right? Is being able to throw on a box basically and just be like, you know, like, wow, this combination of things, of building blocks I would have never thought to make, and this sounds great, you know? All right. Let's see. So I think we are going to want to mess around with that side chaining. But first of all, just a little bit of a gain stage check. I bet if I bring down this snare, I could bring up the drums by 1 dB. Okay, well that was 2 dB. And then I raised the drums by 1 dB as a whole, right? So basically what I just did is I set the kick a little bit more forward, you know. I guess the hi-hats came up 1 dB as well. So I'm not certain about the entrance of this sax. I feel like that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, you know? Let's zoom into this a little bit. Like, I'm pretty satisfied with the volume of this. So we've got this like vinyled out. We've got our own reverb on this. That's sounding good. I'm kind of thinking, what if I just like took off some of the attack here? Like, we did something like this just to kind of like smooth the entrance of this. I don't know why, that just feels better to me, you know? Rather than just having it like it just feels a little bit more dynamic, you know? All right. Well, let's keep digging into this. Bring this up like by like 1 decibel. God, that's good. All right. Do we like the positioning of this guy? Because also, okay, so we do have this countering it. And you'll notice that the original sample material also leans a little bit to the right. And then we have this guy down here, even further to the right. That's not bad. Like, none of this feels imbalanced. I'm just really kind of contemplating if there's a better position for this green guy right here. This, Like, how would this feel if we just swapped the right and the left, if we had it equally off to the left as it is right now to the right? So sometimes I really like to do this if I'm like trying to move something that's existing in the right ear and I'm trying to put it over to the left. Sometimes rather than like shifting the pan knob like all the way to the left, because that kind of feels weird. Like, you know, sometimes I prefer to actually swap the left and the right audio. So if it's naturally sitting in the right ear, now it's going to naturally sit in the left ear. Now, you know, let's think about why that is, why that feels better to swap rather than translate, right? So like, and this just goes back to geometry, okay? So like, what is the difference between translating, meaning you are taking an object and you are just moving it over here, and mirroring, you know, where you take this and you flip it around onto the other side, right? Well, basically, say that we have an object like right here, right? Whatever is in middle right here is going to stay more towards the middle, right? As we swap the left and the right. If we were to translate, if we were to just like move that pan knob off to the left, right? What's in center right here is now going to be on the far left. You know, it's no longer going to be near the center. So consider that next time that you're like, you've got something in the right ear, you want it in the left ear, rather than just like forcing that knob over. Try swapping the left and the right audio. Let's do that. Let's just see what this sounds like. See, but I don't like that because then the string comes in the right ear. Or I mean the left ear. And we like this guy countering that string at the end. I think we had it right in the beginning. Like, yeah, it is a little bit, you know, right heavy, but that's not bad. Because then we have this guy, which is actually a decent ways off to the left, right? So, like, we have, like, two things that are, like, biased towards the right. But you know, what makes this okay is that, like, I always like to think of balancing things, you know, in terms of, like, left-right balance, you know? I'm kind of, like, giving things weight, right? So, like, I don't know, little visualization for you guys. You know, let's say this is the right, this is the left, right here is our fulcrum, right? We're balancing objects, basically. So what do we have in the right side? We've got this, like, the sample material is biased a little bit to the right. So that's, like, more center right, you know, but it is, like, leaning to the right. It's adding more weight on the right side. And then we have these bells, which are also not super far off to the right, but they are also kind of biased towards the right, you know? Like, I would say it's a little bit on the outside of the sample, right? Now, why does this feel natural then? It's because, like, okay, if we're comparing weights of these things, right? This guy, I would say, is lighter than these two, right? This I would say, if we're balancing these on a scale, I would say this guy down here, this string sample, is lighter than the main sample material, which is biased to the right, and then this little bell melody that is biased to the right. Now, the reason why this is balanced, though, is because this string sample is further off to the left. So going back to our visualization here, it's like we have a heavy object and we have a light object. And, you know, if it was like dead balanced equally left versus right, then of course it would just be lopsided, right? But we take this and we scoot it, right? So that these are a little bit closer to the center. This is a little bit more on the outside of the left, a little bit more extreme. And ooh, now this kind of balances, you know? Now we've got equilibrium, right? So I don't know, just something to think about. I like to think about things in terms of like a balancing scale, right? Okay, so now this trumpet, beautiful, beautiful. We're gonna keep it pretty much center. It is a little bit biased to the right, you know? I think that's okay. Let's try swapping. Why not? Now it's a little biased to the left, right? But I don't know, maybe we do like it to be biased to the left because or to the right, because this guy is like so far on the left, you know, it kind of feels good for this main aspect to be on the right. You know, even though that they're not being played like right next to each other, they lead into each other, right? Okay. Yeah, honestly, this track has already got a pretty good mix going about it. There's still some stuff I want to do here, though. Try nudging this down 1 decibel. Okay. You have a transition. Now, I can't help but wonder if I could bring out a little bit more vibrance, right? By doing some like very, and I mean like very slight, very slight compression on this trumpet. You know, the thing is like there's so many like good, tiny little quiet details in this little trumpet lick. And really, I guess what I'm suggesting is we take this nice dynamic piece, right? This nice dynamic lick, and we just barely like kind of squish it. So we're going to kind of raise the seal, or we're going to kind of raise the floor of it just a tiny bit. It's going to help a little bit of that, the very tiny parts of this to be, you know, a little bit more audible. But at the same time, we want to preserve the dynamic range, so we're not going to like squish it, right? I think we just want to squeeze it just very slightly. And hopefully that squeezing of the dynamics might also make this trumpet lick just a little bit more vibrant, you know? Let's pull out our LA2A plugin. I think that's what's going to do it. All right, and I'm going to do this before the reverb. I don't think we want to pick up those. Sometimes I do want to pick up those reverb tails, but I think this is one of the times that I don't really want to. All right, now we're going to have to really mess with this to get it to sit right. See, and I do just want this to like, just on the loud parts, right? And you can see like just by default, like it turns up the gain like 3 decibels basically. But then we squish it down a little bit, right? So you could think of this like if you're really trying to simplify how compressors work, this over here is our floor. This is our ceiling, okay? And this needle is kind of a representation of like how much are we hitting that ceiling, right? How much are we reducing it? Peak reduction over here, right? This is the gain. This is just like what our signal is set at. This is the reduction, the peak reduction, right? See, some of those little guys over here is a little bit more audible. Now, this is definitely set louder. Let's hear this together. Oh, yeah. All right, let's do some regain staging. I think this definitely can come down. In fact, rather than setting the gain down in our main channel, let's put it back up where it was. And let's try to get a good A/B test going on. So I'm going to try to bring this down to where it matches the volume, right? Now, I think this compressor like raised the gain by about 3 decibels. And that's, in fact, how much I turned it down there. Let's just see if that's going to be the case. And you know what I'm going to do to make this really easy for us to A/B test it is I'm going to highlight both these guys. And I'm just going to Command G to put them in a group right like that, right? So now I can just toggle it on and off and really be able to tell, like, okay, are we eliminating loudness bias? I'd say so. That's pretty good. Yeah, that was really the section that I was like thinking of, like, you know, I wanted that to be a little bit more squished, a little bit more vibrant, and I think we kind of did that, yeah. It's very slight, very, very slight. I am thinking we could probably bring back this vocal pop hall, this reverb, just a smidge. And now that we've got this sorted with like our, you know, compression, I feel like we can afford to actually regain stage it back into place. I'm kind of thinking like, Leo, we could probably bring this down like 1 decibel. This is so good. Oh man. I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm doing with this one. This one might be a single. Oh, I'm in love. I love this track. This is so good. All right, now I did want to do a little bit more stuff to this, though. There's a couple things I really want to try. So I've mentioned this probably twice so far this stream. I want to experiment with a little bit of sidechain between that kick and really just like the bulk of the sample material. Again, not huge pumping motion. I'm thinking more like divots into the sample material, such that, like, let's pretend this is our kick. Here comes our sample material. We come across this kick, and instead of this giant, like, we're just gonna like have a little divot there. Very, very tight attack and release on our sidechain compression. What I'm hoping for is that it's going to really make our kicks feel a lot more impactful, right? So that we can preserve just like how impactful our kicks are, but we can then afford to bring our kicks down a little bit. Which honestly, you could kind of think of it two ways. It's either like we're bringing the drums down or we're bringing the rest of the track up, right? Loudness is all relative. It's all gonna get normalized once we're like, mastering it. We're gonna like really bring it up to volume, right? But this is just like, we're just trying to gel this together in a way that's gonna be very, very satisfying. I was kind of thinking into this main sample material, but also like these guys, the heads of these notes kind of line up with the kicks. And could you imagine how this might feel with like that kick, like kind of creating a divot on the head of, Hey, what's up, Light Clothed? How's it going, dude? How's your day going, man? It's good to see you. Hell yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I think we're going to set this up. I'm going to try it first just on this sample material right here, right? It's like the real body of like what we're working with, right? But I think if this sounds good, if I can get this sounding good, we're gonna try this over here on these little guys, this little bell melody. We'll see how that feels. All right, let's get our sidechain signal. So we're gonna just duplicate this. We're just gonna Command D. And yeah, let's and sometimes I include the snare in my sidechain signal as well when I'm doing this kind of thing. But I am kind of thinking this is a track where maybe we just want the kick. Maybe we just want that kick. So let's see. We're gonna mute this first of all. We're not gonna hear this extra track up here, but we are gonna use the signal from it. I love that Ableton lets you do this. So going back over into our drum rack. Okay, so first of all, we can get rid of like our open hat, our hi-hats, this snare I don't think we're going to include. I don't know what this is, but we're not going to need it. We do have 2 kicks in this kit, but I think we only use that first one. But in case if I'm wrong, I'm going to leave that other kick open. All right, so now we've got, just like this signal. Is there fuzz on the floor of this? Doesn't matter. Now let's just bust out our glue compressors and glue these together basically. All right, so glue compressor. Now we really want a tight sidechain. Let's select our input to be that top guy. This is our sidechain signal. I should probably lead by example here. I should actually name what these are, right? I'm a bastard when I get working on my own music. I'm very disorganized. Yeah, that's good. We'll rename this drum loop. There we go. Cool. All right. Now, I think we really want like no attack little bit of release, okay? Let's turn that ratio up as well. That ratio is just going to make this even deeper. Start inching back our threshold. Okay, now you can't really notice it too much, but here's what it sounds like soloed. You can hear that ducking, right? Now, I kind of want this to go a little bit deeper. Now, instead of, because here's the thing, is if I pull back on this like a lot. Now, do you notice that there's like so much more release? Like it takes a lot more time for that to come back up to full volume, right? Whereas it's a little bit less time, right? So what I like to do to avoid this, you know, I like to take this, I'm going to duplicate it. This first one tells it like, let's duck down, right? This second one goes, oh, you mean like you want to go like down, right? So yeah. Hey, Mars Monkey Max. Hell yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. I know I've like, this is really what I've been banking on is like, that's gonna, yes, it sounds fuller, you know, it sounds like that kick has a lot more presence, right? And it's also like, I don't know, it's drawing contrast to like the sample material. You kind of get a sense for how much of a brick of audio this sample material is when we hear those divots in it, right? So we're gonna pull back on the threshold just a little bit on this guy. Now that sounds good. Sounds good and all, right? But we could do this more uniformly with like a lot of the other elements in here, right? Sometimes I'm very selective with what I am including in sidechain. Sometimes I decide to go totally non-chained at all. Sometimes it's just the bass. This track doesn't have a bass. I've been really enjoying making beats that don't have bass lines because I feel like having the kick be the only thing in that low end and then maybe some of that sample material coming down, it kind of allows for the track to feel very light and bright, you know? I've been enjoying that vibe. It's a totally like subjective kind of opinion, right? But I don't know. This one's kind of like one where it's like we could do every single instrument like this, and we might experiment with a good amount of these. But at the end of the day, I don't imagine myself using like that sidechain on like this trumpet lick, right? Like I kind of want to just let that fly, you know? Yeah. But you can feel that kick is like so much more present. Yeah, it's a juggling act with the transient material. Yeah, no, I got you. It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's, you know, this is where I feel like mixing really does come down to a feeling. Like, does this feel good? Or does this feel awkward? And, you know, like, we just need to try it every which way. So I was saying earlier, I wanted to try these on the heads of these bells, right? These guys. Okay, I think, like, it might feel cool if we got those kicks, like, digging into the heads of those bells, because they're kind of lined up, right? Right? So how's that going to feel? Let's paste these down. Feels good. That feels really good, man. I like that. It feels like our kicks have such weight to them. Okay, now this string is the next thing that kind of brings my attention in, as like, all right, do we want that same sidechain to happen on this string? Do we want it to feel like these guys are grouped? I should probably arrange this like this anyways in my project. Keep it organized, because here we got our solo instruments, our trumpet, our saxophone. This is just counterpoint detailing, little bits of ear candy. In fact, I'll put this guy up here because with the other bells. So we got our bell instruments. I should go ahead and name these. Okay, this will be synth bell. This will be Glock. This will be string. Trumpet. And sax. There we go. Okay. And we'll call this the sample chops. There we go. Okay. All right, let's try this on these strings. Woo, yeah. Oh. Layer the bells with some tail. Like some verb, are you saying? I'll sometimes do that with like... So I'll sometimes do this thing with vocals. I'll sometimes do this thing with vocals where I'll like put the reverb on vocals in its own return track. And I'll do two types of sidechains with it. I will sidechain the signal of the vocal to the reverb of the vocals, such that the reverb comes down when the vocals come in and it comes up as the vocals leave, right? But then on top of that, any sidechain that I might have, like, between the kick and the vocal, I will also carry over to my reverb. So yeah, I guess that might be the closest thing that I do that might be of a similar idea, where we're doing layering and kind of like chaining the layers, maybe differently than we do like the main material. But I don't know though. I'm liking how these are sounding, honestly. I feel like I don't want to muddy up a good thing, But I will say, now that we have gotten this sidechain in, I feel like it's time to regain stage, right? Like, we want to regain stage this a little bit, because this definitely changes things. I feel like once we've got everything kind of like kind of chained in, we've got all this stuff sidechained in. Well, now we can afford to bring a lot of these elements a lot more, maybe not like a lot, but we can kind of afford to nudge everything forward by like 1 dB. And it's not going to be covering up our drums. These drums are still going to like, slap, right? So like, this is where the track gets a little bit more vibrant, I would say. And before bringing up like the bulk of the sample material, I'm going to start with the details, like this guy, like this synth bell, I think. Now this string can come up like 1 decibel. That synth bell might be a bit too high, actually. Well, okay, maybe it is time to bring up the sample material by 1. Whew. I know those lo-fi bells are so good, man. By the way, if you're curious, this is an Arturia plugin. It's called Augmented Mallets. They were like giving it away for free a little while ago. I managed to grab it. I think it's like $50 now or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, I've actually been really enjoying augmented mallets for just a lot of like light detailing. I'm a sucker for like mallet instruments, so naturally I was like really excited when I saw they dropped this. You know, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. We gotta just hear this through. Yeah, you have that? Fuck yeah, dude. Well, yeah, if you're curious, this is the, let's see, what was it, the tape vibraphone? I didn't really do anything to it. I just liked the way it sounded, man. Yeah, tape vibraphone, if you're looking for it. It's good stuff, yeah. Ooh, augmented woodwinds. I might have to look into that because I've been really having fun with this this mallets plugin. You wouldn't happen to know how much it is, would you? Oh yeah. Okay, now that we've like brought up a lot of the detailing, I think we can afford to have these main instruments sit a little bit more forward, right? These strings do need to come forward. I was trying to avoid bringing them forward, but no, this will be good. This will be good. I like them being like pretty light in the background, but like let's be real, they're pretty buried right here. You know? All right, nudging it up 1 decibel. Says, I don't know, but Arturia gave me such great deals over the years. I paid a fraction of the cost for everything. Cubase also gave me CS80 free. Wow, nice. And Arturia gave me a deal on an upgrade from that. They always have sales, so wait for the deal. You know, that's the thing, man. So, like, honestly, in terms of purchases that I am kind of eyeing, but let's be real, I need to, like, I don't know, sell some exclusives before I go replacing my MIDI, you know? So like right now, I'm rocking this this Complete Control A61. It's just, you know, nice MIDI keyboard. It came with Complete Control 13. I bought it like 3 years ago or something like that, 4 years ago. It's from Native Instruments. And it came with a big bundle of stuff, but you know, like right now, something that I'm really looking for in a new MIDI keyboard, right, is aftertouch. It's the you know, the being able to press a note and hold the note and wiggle the note and get some vibrato out of it. I want that so much. I want that, like, you know. I want that extra bit of expression, you know. And if I am, and quite honestly also, if I can get another MIDI keyboard that maybe has a nicer like piano bed to it, because this one It's very plasticky and springy. Not a huge fan of it, right? But I've been really looking at the what is it? It's the Arturia like Keyscape, I think it is. I don't know, and it's just it looks like it comes with a lot of stuff from Arturia, right? And it's got that aftertouch, that I'm looking for. So I don't know, man. Maybe if I like sell some exclusives, get on some mixing work or something like that, I might save up and replace my keyboard, But I don't know. We'll see, man. Yeah. Oh man, Light Clothes saying elegant and raw work of art. Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, he says, and you got those drums sounding like heaven, dude. Ah, dude, yes. I know. It's like, dude, and this kit right here has been like, I don't know, my favorite shit lately. This has been my favorite drum kit. It's just some random ass one shots that I put together in this this drum rack. You see, I was telling you the other day, like, about, like, this is really what I love about Ableton is, like, this drum rack. I can save it in a way that, like, I'm using, like, the pads on my MPC as a MIDI instrument, right? Oh, I can't hear any of this. Why? Oh, it's because okay. Right, really cool. You'll notice that all of these effects out here apply to the whole drum rack. But if I want to like EQ just my kick, right? It's really easy. I can just like, so I've got this selected right here and I bring this in on the inside. You see this little like lip right here on the outside of that? Now this only applies to the kick, right? Super like, I love their drum racks. It's super versatile, And then of course, we got Simpler, the sampling plugin. As you can see here, I've got this sample like all chopped to bits here. Oh man, it's so good. I don't know. I'm a big sucker for it. But yeah, Mars saying, yeah, I used the 49 MK2 in the Machine 3. Oh, nice. Are you using your Machine 3 as like your main DAW? I know some people really love working within the MPC or within Machine, and then some people just really like DAWs, And quite honestly, as much as in my soul I feel like I would really like MPC workflow, I don't. Honestly, I don't. Like, I don't know. I feel a lot more liberated inside Ableton. I feel like I have practically lived in this DAW for like 10 years. So my MPC has pretty much become a MIDI controller to me. And I'm glad I own this MPC though, because the pads are very high quality, They're very high quality drum pads. So they feel very nice when I'm like finger drumming. I get great response out of them, But I don't know, cooking up, like, I used to use the MPC DAW for just like chopping samples. And I think MPC is pretty limiting. I'd be curious how Machine works, inside that workflow. If it's like similar to MPC, which is a more like sampler kind of workflow, Yeah, Mars says, I use it with Ableton. You can open the standalone simultaneously and swap everything back and forth, work from the hardware. I love that. That's exactly what I used to do with my MPC. You could, use the MPC full DAW. You could it just shows up as a VST. You could just drag it onto a MIDI track and chop some samples. Now, there were some limitations that I found there, which was that I really like Ableton's drum rack, right? And I specifically like using my MPC and customizing these drum racks to work well with the layout of this MPC, right? So I kept running into this issue, right? Where if I wanted to chop samples inside the MPC DAW, well, the moment that I would drag that MPC DAW into a MIDI track, suddenly I was no longer able to, anywhere in the project file, use my MPC as just a standalone MIDI controller, right? So that would get in the way of utilizing Ableton's drum rack with my MPC. So that boggled me for a really long time. I went from chopping samples in MPC, which I actually quite enjoyed, to not really using the MPC DAW because I wanted to use this as a MIDI controller with this drum rack, right? So that's why I found myself using Ableton's Simpler, this plugin, the sampler plugin, right? For just like chopping apart samples and whatnot. And honestly, over time, I realized how bulky the MPC workflow felt, right? I realized how kind of hard to use that interface was, and just this is super simple, that I very appropriately named. I started to really fall in love with this sampler right here because it's just super versatile and I can kind of get the results that I want like super fast, So I don't know. I kind of abandoned the MPC VST. And in fact, by the time that I upgraded to like Ableton Live, I think 11, there was like incompatibility issues between the MPC VST that I had and, this. So yeah, and I see Mars saying my issue with Machine as a VST in Ableton is that it doesn't conform well with Ableton. So I use them in standalone and found it works better with Link. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like, it's quite a feat. It's quite a feat that they even have like a full DAW that you can use as a VST inside Ableton. Like, let's be real, that's a huge feat of software engineering, right? But of course, I feel like it's like little quality of life things that kind of ruin it for me. And it's for me, the deal breaker was not being able to use a drum rack on my MPC in the same project file. It's like I had to choose a lane, like how I wanted to utilize my MPC, right? So, yeah, it's rough. But I'm feeling very good with my workflow now, and I don't really care about the fact that I've reduced my MPC to a MIDI controller. I like it. I like my workflow, man. It's so good. Yeah. All right. Let's give this a listen back. Let's see where we're at. I'm yapping. I like yapping at you guys. What can I say? That's why I'm doing this live. All right. And I was thinking of going back with some production, just maybe like a little sweep here. Something, maybe. Not sure if it needs it, but that's something I've been debating like all morning, Okay, our glockenspiel is a little bit quiet there. Now, I was actually thinking, so I could just bring this up, right? But I kind of want to compress this a little bit because it kind of changes how the attack of bells feel sometimes when you compress. And maybe through that compression, I can bring it up. But, like, I want to just see how this feels, I want to see how this sits. So let's pull out our LA2A. We're going to have to really bring back the peak reduction, though. Let's give it a little bit more peak reduction. Okay, a little bit of A/B testing here. All right. It is sitting a little bit more hot there. All right. And let's just nudge that down by like 1. Now, I really haven't done like a whole lot of EQing on this. But I mean, like, let's be real. Is there anything in here that sounds like it needs some EQing? I might mess with the general sample chop, you know? But, I don't know. Yeah, kind of add some nice drive to it. That's how I feel about this LA2A, man. Is it's, especially on basses, it kind of like warms it up in this way that sort of feels like drive, you know? Alright, let's just pull out an EQ on this guy. We're gonna do this after the OTT here. So you can see the real important bits are down here in the mid-range, right? Maybe some bass frequency cuts. So really, I see where you're coming from with that, you know? Maybe some bass frequency cuts. Now, in this specific case, though, I'm not going to do that. I'll tell you exactly why. There is nothing in the low end that I am trying to, like, preserve, you know, space for, because usually if I'm laying down my own bass line, like there's a lot of like information down here, right, that I would like to just get out of the way. Now there is no bass line in this song though, right? So because of that, I actually feel like all of this information down here is pretty important to making the track feel extra full, you know? So I'm actually going to leave that down there, but I'll tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to do something very slight, and we'll see if this makes any difference whatsoever. I see the real important range is right in here, between, like, I would say 100 hertz and, like, 500 hertz. Now, sometimes what you can do to make that section feel a little bit more defined, I'm going to actually put little divots around it, right? So we're going to kind of, like, accentuate this by putting a little bit of separation between this and the rest. And we might even boost a tiny bit up in here. Let's make sure that we're on the other side of our important frequency. You can see that there's a couple of main resonance. Like that low end one, I want cut right there, you know? Yeah, it's like you're choosing your bass specifically because of the frequencies. It's according to the kick and the mids anyways. Yeah, really, it's just like, I don't have any bass down there that I have to worry about, you know? So, my philosophy is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? We're gonna just let that ride. So we're going to do something like this. And I'm kind of curious if I was to lift some of the highs over here. Ooh, that's vibrant. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad we decided to EQ this a little bit. Okay. And you'll notice I'm not doing anything like super drastic here, okay? We're just kind of like really trying to define that mid-low range by kind of putting some separation between some of this low-end information down here and some of the high-end information. We're putting in those divots to kind of say, no, this is an important part of this, and we're going to kind of isolate this a little bit from the rest, put a little bit of division. We're not going to totally cut it away from everything. We're just kind of putting in a little bit of division between these low-end chords and the rest of the sample material. This is some weird EQing. I'm not going to lie. This is something pretty specific to like how I treat sample material. You know, how I treat stuff that is a lot of different stuff put together. And you'll notice I'm not mangling this. I'm not aiming to mangle this. I'm aiming to nudge it, right? So after this is where I think A/B testing is going to be key, right? It's almost too high. There we go. Bring that down a little bit. Boosting it by 1.86. That's okay. There we go. All right, A/B test. Let's find out if we like it. Now, we did a lot of like... We did a lot of, what do you call it? What's the opposite of subtractive EQing? It's on the tip of my tongue. We did a lot of like, we added to the EQ rather than taking away, right? So honestly, all of these like little like this boost right here and these boosts up top is kind of making the sample louder, and you'll notice that the balance of this is a little bit different now. Now I think to kind of like, you know, kind of remove some loudness bias and get it back to where it was, I'm gonna like actually bring the gain down on this EQ like 1 decibel. There we go. But yeah, hey Signature, how you doing, man? Hell yeah, thank you so much, dude. Hell yeah. Let's A/B test again. I'm curious about one more thing here. I want to just lift this guy a little bit. That's kind of what I'm thinking. There is some pretty important stuff going on right here. All right. Now, we're pretty much there at the end of the mix, and this is where I like to kind of poke and prod things a little bit, okay? We're gonna readdress our gain staging here. Like, for example, let's turn this whole thing down a decibel or two. No, I like where it's at, actually. Let's bring this down. This is good. Thank you, Mars. I appreciate it. Now, we had this off, though. We want to kind of gain stage this. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, Signature says, all good. Thank you for asking. How about you? I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. Getting a good track mix down. I've had a little bit of tendonitis in my shoulders, so I'm trying to not do too much work today, but it doesn't stop the fact that there's work to be done, you know? Getting through it. All right, now there was one thing that I wanted to play with here at the beginning. There's a couple things that we could do to smooth over this transition. Now, I'm gonna commit a mixing sin. I'm gonna go do a little bit of production stuff. Literally, we're just gonna consider what, maybe having a little bit of a drum drop-in might do, maybe a little bit of a riser there. Given that I am both the mix engineer and the producer for this track, I feel confident in just doing this, right? I normally wouldn't do this for like clients. However, I have in the past sometimes. If I'm like, dude, this transition just feels weird. What did you think about this little riser that I slipped in there? And it's like, at the end of the day, I'm here to solve problems, right? But usually I'm trying to not do like production stuff very much when I'm mixing. I kind of like that. Although, maybe there's something better here. Yeah, what if we like took this, right? Yeah, that could be like a much better feeling transition here. Boy, we were very sparing with how we approached this mix, but I'm glad because it was in a good spot when we, picked it up. And I'm glad that we preserved what was so good about it, but we did drive the mix further, Thinking this synth bell could come up maybe one. There we go. Yeah, I always have to listen to my car to hear what I want to change. It's important, the car testing, man. Now I feel you. Yeah, I like to listen in my car. I like to also just hear it on my laptop speakers, on my phone speaker, earbuds, pretty much anything, you know. It's good to listen to it every which way. Now, interesting little idea for this transition. Something that we have automated here on this guy is we have these little dropouts here rather than that stutter. And I can't help but wonder if that might make that little drop-in feel a lot cooler, right? We may as well try it. We may as well. Okay. Yeah. Dude, nice. Okay, let's hear this back for realsies, and let's pay attention to our max peak value. We're gonna let this run. We're gonna keep our ears out though. I might pause it and change something. No promises. But we might be on to the mastering here. It's gonna sound so vibrant once I get it through the Shadow Hills master compressor. That's gonna be sick. We got plenty of room. That's good. This is like such the mood today. I don't know. This is just like, oh. I do see that there's a resonant a little bit outside this range. I'm gonna open that up a bit. I want to capture that guy in there. I'm just trying to separate a little bit. Or we could put him on the other side. There we go. Kind of lift around it. Okay. Okay, I'm like still touching stuff. Where are we at though? Minus 3.36. Dude, that's awesome. All right. All right. I think we're doing good. Guys, it is time to move on to the master. Let's master this thing. Now, we're actually going to get it up quite a bit, you know. Usually about the LUFS range I'm personally looking for in my music is somewhere between like minus 10 LUFS and minus 8. You know, plus or minus 1 LUF of wiggle room. But that's about where my discography lies, you know. So, let's bust out our Shadow Hill master compressor. Love this thing. We're gonna put this on here. All right. It feels very quiet now. No, it doesn't. I just turned my volume down. That's what it was. Hell yeah. Signature saying great compressor. Yeah. Mars saying same. Yeah, I like this thing. I honestly forgot that I had gotten this. I think I got it for free when I bought RC20 or something. I was like buying something from Plugin Alliance and they slipped this in. And then like a year later, I was like, what is this? And then I did like a couple hours of research and, experimenting with it. And I decided like, damn, I like this thing. It's complicated as hell just looking at it, right? But I've actually gotten a lot of really good use out of it. I like the sound of it. I like especially this, so like the optical, it's kind of like two compressors at once. We got this optical compressor up here. This is a very clean compressor. It's got a very fixed ratio, right? So we're not going to be able to adjust the ratio of this. We're not going to be able to adjust like the attack or the release. It's just fixed in place, but it sounds great, I feel like this gives me a very clean sort of compression, right? Now this discrete though, on the other hand, dude, this is great. It's got it's like all attack, no release, which oddly feels very good on the master. I don't know. I like the quality that it gives it. Now, the thing is, though, is I feel like the more that I boost, like, for example, this discrete gain, right, it feels like it's picking up those mid-lows in, like, the low end a lot more. And this optical feels like it's touching, like, a lot more of the highs. And I kind of like this duality between these two compressors. Like, it's, honestly, I am using some sort of like combination of these most of the time, All right, start with our optical. We're gonna raise the thresholds on these, and then we're gonna kind of boost these gains a little bit. Really not trying to do much here, okay? I'm trying to be a little bit sparing with it. Oh, turning up that optical gain sounds good. Actually, I think it is going to be a good combination of these two. Ooh, yeah. Hell yeah. I'm glad to see you guys all have this as well. It's pretty good. Yeah, Marcin, I like the Waves TG mastering chain too. Huh, I have to check that out. I honestly don't really have many Waves plugins, Let's see, where are we at? -3? Okay. boy, by, switching this on and off, you can really hear this is making this very vibrant. All right, let's run this all the way through. I want to really pinpoint about where my volume's at. We may as well go ahead and pull out our LUFS analyzer, our loudness meter, kind of see where we're starting at here. But yeah, I want to, basically what I'm going to do, now that we've compressed this pretty nicely, we're going to try to bring it close to 0. And then I actually have, so like forever ago, I got Ozone 9 elements in some pack of something that I got, which is like the beta version of Ozone 9, right? Super old, super limited. But there is one tool in there that I really, really love, which is the Ozone Maximizer. Feels very great. Typically, my approach as of lately to mastering, and I'm still tweaking this. I want you guys to know I'm like really learning mastering as I go. I have been mastering my music for years now, and I like to think that I've like come a pretty long ways in terms of not only just like strategy, but also like, mindset, just like what I am prioritizing in terms of mix. I feel like, or in terms of master, I feel like I used to just be like, oh, I want to get this loud, Nowadays, I'm really focused on cleanliness and vibrance, Like, it's really like, I want it sounding vibrant, but I also do not want it sounding muddy, Yeah, I don't know. I'm also a big fan of if I can get something sounding like pretty bright and energized, without completely disrupting the balance of it. Like, sometimes I am like, I'll let Ozone kind of generate whatever it's going to generate and kind of go from there. Usually it recommends some sort of like EQ on it, and sometimes I will take the EQ. Sometimes I'm like, that's gross, I'll turn it off. But sometimes I just start making adjustments to the EQ, and I really like it as a way, before I feed it into the maximizer, as like a way to kind of brighten the track a little bit more. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up and we're gonna do this. Just yapping at you guys today. I'm having fun though. I'm having fun chatting with you guys. All right, let's see what our max peak is. God, hearing it through this compressor makes me feel like I could bring the drums up 1 dB, In fact, before we go any further, I'm going to do that. Sometimes, as soon as I start compressing it, as soon as I start squeezing it, I start noticing things about the balance kind of being accentuated. And I realize I do want the drums to be a little bit more forward. So let's turn off this compressor, first of all. Let's listen, and I'm going to bring this up like 1. Okay, I like that. Whew. Okay, I think we got that. But yeah, Mars is saying, I have a question for you. Have you ever tried Hitsville mastering plugin from UAD? I've never actually tried it. I can't say I have, that might be another one I need to look into. Is it Is it like a suite of mastering tools? Is it like a compressor? I'd be curious to know more about it because I really haven't invested too much into good mastering tools, but I have been making do with like quite a few mastering tools that I've collected over the years, you know? Sometimes I'll even bust out the LA2A on the master a little bit, you know? That's what I was using before I wrapped my mind around the Shadow Hill. All right, now that we've got that, let's turn that back on. I don't know, the drums feel too much now. Yeah, the drums feel too much. I think it might be a nice sweet spot of -6.5. Or I mean minus 7.5. What am I doing? I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe it was fine at -8. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with it. We had the balance right, and I'm like overthinking it now. I always do this when I get to mastering. I'm like really like, especially as I start to squeeze it with the compressor, I go, but like, you know, this, that, or the other thing, or this is too harsh, or this is too loud, or this is getting buried. But no, honestly, we checked this a million different ways, so I think we're sounding good here. Okay, now for realsies, let's hear it all the way through. But yeah, it's a single plugin. I feel it. But yeah, okay, I'm glad I'm not alone. I just start overthinking it. But yeah, Mars says, that's why when I get in the car, I'm like, ew, yeah, I gotta fix that. Yeah. I'm the same way, man. Sometimes I'll hop in the car, I'll be like, no, this is not what I know. And just spend all night on a mix, go to the car, and I'm like, no. Minus 2.98. I think we might boost it by like 2.5. Let's call it. All right, let's bring it back. We're gonna listen to it again. I boosted the signal by minus 2.5 now, or I mean by 2.5. Now, I think sometimes this this compressor can kind of act a little bit differently depending on I honestly don't know what affects it, but I've gotten randomized results from it sometimes. So we're gonna like play it back all the way through. Just make sure that our max peak is under 0, right? Ew, that sounds good. All right, we're bringing it up, guys. We're bringing it up in volume. This is good. God damn, just the sample material through this compression just feels good, you know? Feels great. Minus 0.65, pretty good. Hell yeah. Glad to hear it sounding good on that end, man. Glad I'm not crazy. Dude, yeah, I can hear that sax really clear. That's what I like to hear, man. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very proud of this one. I think this is gonna have to come out soon. At some point. I'm not sure if this is gonna make its way on an EP, or probably more likely this is probably gonna drop as a single. We'll see. If you guys are curious, by the way, I am TapDaddy on all platforms if you're trying to find the music. And I just dropped this 7-track EP. If you guys are, I don't know, trying to find the music. Yeah, it's good stuff. I'll drop a link for anybody that might be trying to find it. Yeah, check it out if you're interested. I'd appreciate if you guys heard it. I would love for you guys to hear like what I'm actually like working on, you know. But yeah, I think eventually this is gonna have to come out. I'm kind of thinking just as a single, and maybe it might make an appearance on another secret project. We'll see. But yeah, you know, it's just coming together nicely, you know. But anyways, we've got like one last kind of bit to go, and I'm thinking I'm probably gonna run. Yeah, let me get Ozone. Let me full screen this for you guys again. Let's see. See what kind of bullshit it generates first of all, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right. Let's see. Just a little volume warning. This sometimes can get a little bit loud while it's processing things, so just letting you guys know. I'm gonna go for a high intensity. I always do. I don't know. already it's like a little lifted. Oh, that's a lot. I have a feeling it did something extreme in the EQ. Let's check it out. Wow. I'm kind of torn here. This is kind of a crazy EQ. It really does make this super bright though, right? Like, to me personally, I feel like there's something a little bit more appealing about what's going on here. This is a little bit questionable, but I feel like this is giving us some really good brightness to it. Yeah, that is where we're getting a lot of the brightness. Let's keep it up there. Why not? If it sounds good, don't mess with it. Now, this is all right. Boy, we might already be towards our target LUFS, right? Let's back this up. Let's really give this a listen. I'm going to listen at a comfortable volume, comfortably loud. Let's just hear it. Wow. And, you know, that is like really bright. I know. I kind of like it though. You know, I tried A/B testing it. I tried scooting that top guy around, but ultimately I think I've decided I like the intensity that's giving to the high end. See what's going on in our loudness meter. It is like a lot though in that high end. Let's tame it a little bit. Get back here. There we go. Go. It's like that static up top. Does it seem like the hi-hats are changing volume? Well, definitely as I'm shifting this around, they are. Because we're catching some of these hi-hats up here. Couple things are being affected when I'm scooting this around. It's the hi-hats. It's like the very top end of those hi-hats. But more so than that, and what's catching my ear is all of that static vinyl fuzz is really being brought forward as we boost this. Now, it originally was sitting up here at about 2.7, I think it was at, or 2.5. It's pretty intense, you know? We might tame it a smidge. But I like all of this. This is good. This is good stuff. It's kind of a mangled EQ, but generally this is making this a lot brighter. And I hope you guys know, this looks a lot more extreme than it is. Like, this right here, this big swoop up is only 1.7 decibels, right? Let's get more of that fuzz, less of that hi-hat. Scooted it to the right. Now, a lot of times what I'll like to do is I'll put a limiter, like a master limiter, right after this ozone. So after we've fed it into the maximizer and we've maximized it, sometimes what I like to do is then slap a limiter on there, say the ceiling is 0, and then I feed it a little bit more into the ceiling. Now, I'm not sure if that's what I want to do, really, because like this is kind of a softer track. I'm not sure if I want to like limit it like that so hard, you know? Can you try rerunning it at middle setting and see what it puts out? I don't know, man. I'm feeling happy with where this is at, and I don't want to, like, screw it up, you know? But I'll tell you what it will do is really that it's gauging where it's going to set this maximizer. Okay, so, like, if I was to run it at middle, it would probably, like, instead of the threshold being at -6, it would be like really up here, you know? It would be really up here. That's really all it changes, you know, is how far back it's setting the threshold of the maximizer. And in fact, we're actually probably going to push this down a little bit because I think instead of using a limiter to get us up to that target LUFS, we're going to actually like, you know, make it maximize even further, just a bit, just to bring it up firmly into our target range, you know? So let's bring it back. Let's get a good readout on what our current LUFS is and how far we have left to go. We'll get it there. It's all good, man. Such a good sound. Okay, so I'm hoping to get it above -10. Or at least, like, I'll settle for, like, -10.4, you know? Like, that's okay. We'll see where it settles down at, because we might not even need to touch this too much. We might be there. I could see Derek the DA using this as an opening track for his show. I can't say I've heard of him. Yo, get Derek the DA on the phone, man. Give me that sync placement, man. Okay, -10.3. Guys, I don't think I want to touch this, you know? That is sounding great. That is sounding so great. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to listen to this back one more time. And we're going to save it while we listen to it back. And let's just make sure that we're satisfied, you know? All right. Spinning beach ball of death. It's gonna save it here. Damn, this is like, dude, with that maximizer, it really intensified that sample material. And it's also that EQ, which looks pretty crazy, is pretty crazy, but yeah, clear, bright, and wonderful. Thank you, Signature. That's the thing, is it really gave it this brightness that I like. I like how it lifted the master, you know? That the static up top is like kind of intense, but it's quite good ear candy, you know? Damn, this is so good. Man, so guys, I'm gonna be live on Twitch tomorrow. Every Wednesday and Friday, I review music from my Twitch subscribers. So if you guys would like for me to listen to your music and give you my thoughts and give you advice and all of that, swing through the Twitch. You know, I'm live every Wednesday and Friday just listening to your guys' music. So yeah, definitely come through if that's interesting. I think I've got a link down below. I'm also gonna be live on Saturday just making beats. And lastly, if you guys want me to work on your music, like if you want to hire me for mixing, for production, or whatever, maybe both, I've got my email listed below. Definitely shoot me an email. I'd love to connect with you guys. So yeah, good stuff. Oh man, this is so good. Mars is definitely hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. God damn. All right. Well, I think we did it, guys. I think we did it. I'm off to go sip a beer by the pool with my beautiful wife. Yeah. And then I've got more mixing to do later tonight. But, one thing at a time. Anyways, thank you guys so much for chilling. Damn. Thank you, Mars, for hanging out. Thank you, Signature. I appreciate you guys. And for everybody else, this was a very productive session. This was good. So, anyways, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys around. Peace out. All right. And I hope I get the timing of the ending the stream right. I feel like I always butcher it mid-sentence. We'll see. But yeah, peace out, guys.